Innovation pays off.
Good morning, friends. I am Ajay Mutatkar. I am retired Assistant General Manager from Canara Bank. I got retired in June 2018 from Thane. I was heading my retail asset hub, Thane office. At the outset, let me thank you, FIZ Robotic Solutions, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on a very relevant, very critical, and very important topic of education loan. Education is central, in fact, to the human resource development and empowerment of any country. In fact, the national and state level policies are designed to ensure that the basic needs of the population is made through the appropriate public and private sector initiative. Of course, while government endeavors to develop primary education for all, but when it comes to the higher education, here individuals or people have to depend on their own sources. National education policy has been brought out by the government in 2019. Universalization of education, basic access to all are all very important features of that policy. A lot has been said about the higher education also. India has reached a position where we really need trained, technical, and knowledge-driven people. Never before the importance of education was so much as we are feeling now. Primary education is always the most challenging aspect. In fact, the foundation is very critical. But when it comes to the higher education, you need funds, you need money. And this is where the role of bank or public institution, public financial institution come in. I'm very happy to tell you, Canara Bank has been pioneer in the field of education loan. In fact, Canara Bank started granting education loan since 1976. So we have been dealing with education loan for the last almost 44 years. And it has been a wonderful journey for our bank. Idea is that no poor student should be left out of education goal if he is a meritorious. Keeping this in mind only, in fact, the Indian Bankers Association have come out with a very broad guidelines on higher education for meritorious students. And this scheme of education loans are by and large are guided by this model scheme of education loan. The loan is to be granted to person who is in the financial needs so that they can pursue their higher education in India or as well as abroad. Knowledge and information actually that would be the driving force for any economic growth in the coming years. As I mentioned earlier, we need trained people, we need educated people. In fact, we have to invest a lot in building the human capital for economic growth and economic prosperity. Without education, this is not going to be possible. India is going to be the world leaders, everybody says. But what will come in the way of India becoming a world power? That will be the education, a lack of education. In fact, the scope for higher education. These are all the questions that will come in the path of India's prosperity or India's ambition of becoming the world leader. Friends, education loans are granted for pursuing right from Graduation, post-graduation, and so many courses now are available. But before that, I would like to say one thing. When you go for any loan, for that matter, we need to be aware of certain features of any loan. Financial illiteracy is one of the very important important impediment, I will say, an obstacle in India's progress. People are educated, but they are financially illiterate. We are not aware of the certain basic things of finance and banking. When we say of a loan, so we need to know what are the eligibility conditions, what are the security norms, what are going to be the rate of interest, how the loan is to be repaid, how the loan is to be disbursed, whether any top-up loan facilities are available. Top-up loan is a very important aspect, in particularly in case of education loan, because whatever you had planned, it may not go as per your plan, and you need some additional finance. So whether the banks are having any such scheme for top-up. Then there are moratorium periods. Then there is a margin concept. So all these aspects are very critical whenever we access bank for any loan. And I would like my students and I would like our parents to be well aware of that. Friends, your parents are planning for the education of their children. If they want their children to be a graduate, they have to save money for 18 years. If they are planning for post-graduation of their children, they have to save money for 21 years. Parents need to create a corpus of funds for the education of their children, because education is going to be a very important. Education will be playing a role for development of personality and identity of your children. Parents are well aware of that. But what happens is that whatever corpus if you have made, there is going to be a deficit or a shortage, because the cost of projects and many aspects are coming into play. The spiraling cost of education is the biggest challenge for the parents even. So there comes the role of bank, and there come the role of education loan. As I already said, there are many aspects of loans like securities or repayments or so on and so forth. We'll just see the one by one, which are going to be very critical from the education loan point of view. The first and foremost, who are eligible? Who are eligible to get loan? Friends, all Indian nationals, all students of Indian nationality, they are eligible to get loans. Here I will just say one more thing. Even those who are NRIs, those who are OCIs, or those who are persons of Indian origin, PIO, for such type of categories also we are granting education loan. But there are certain other stipulations, there are certain other conditions are also attached whenever we are granting loans to such categories of borrowers. But here we'll be focusing on Indian nationals. So Indian national students will be eligible. Even if they are minor, yes, we are granting loans to them. Minor is considered as a person whose age is less than 18 years. So such type of students are also eligible. But in case of such minor students, their parents have to join as a guardian. And above 18, any major students? Yes. But one thing about education loan, in this category of loan, your parents have to join as a co-borrower or a co-obligant. That is a must. That thing you need to keep in mind. Then as we see that, there are various how the students get admission into the college. There are admission tests for that, like a pre-engineering or a pre-medical or a pre-management A lot of categories of examinations and entrance exams are there. If your child is securing admission based on that, that will be a good enough qualification to get the loan. We are granting loans for students on meritorious basis also. If they are getting an admission into a college without any examination or any such thing, for that also we are granting loans, where the only condition is that, of course, as I said earlier, the loan is to be granted for meritorious student. And loan, it is a need-based loan. Remember, friends, it's a need-based loans. For considering the criteria of meritorious student, for general category, normally we take it as 60%. 60% marks are good enough to be qualified as a meritorious student. For SC/ST category, it is a 50%. And for girls, it's a 50%. So these are the students who are eligible for getting loans. Now, what are the courses available? Here again, I will say that right from graduation to post-graduation, you are eligible to get loans for such things. All professional courses in medical, engineering, dentist, veterinary, hospitality, catering, hotels, besides all your elite institutes like IIMs, IITs, ISB, ICWA, your CA course, oil exploration, healthcare, aviation sector, marine engineering. You just name the course and we will be there to grant loans for that. But one thing that is very critical and that's very important to keep in mind, that your institute or your university or college should be approved or a registered one. The quality of your institute or a college is very critical, because that is going to play a very important role for you also when you come out as a graduate or a postgraduate from such institution, because your employability, your prospects, your potential will depend on the kind of college or the university you are coming from. So we always insist parents and children to be well aware of these aspects. So institutions play a very important role. So these are the courses available. Then the question comes of what are the expenses eligible to be calculated as a project cost for your education loan. So right from your tuition fees, your all sorts of fees which normally colleges are charging, like your library or laboratory or your hostel, caution deposit, building deposits, all your refundable deposits. We are considering even the cost of books and equipments or computers or laptop, etc., etc., etc. We are taking all this into account for estimating the cost of project for that particular education loan. But here, just one thing you need to know, that the cost of other expenses should not go beyond 50% of the total loan amount that we are going to sanction. That's the only cap we have kept on the other expenses side. This need to be noted. Regarding the age criteria, I will say that there is no as such an age criteria. No minimum age or no maximum age is stipulated for education loan. That is to be noted. Then come a very important, what is the quantum of finance that is available to you? For your studies in India, the quantum of finance is up to 10 lakh. Studies abroad, we are going up to 20 lakh. But here I would just say one thing. The maximum loan limit we can go, again, need-based. If the cost of education, tuition fees, particularly when you go abroad for studies, if it cost goes beyond 50 lakh, beyond 80 lakh, beyond 1 crore, beyond 1 crore 50, even up to 2 crore, banks are granting loans for that. So there is no such limitation on that. It's a need-based. And of course, it is based on the merit of the candidate and the quality of the quality or the standard of the university from where you'll be pursuing your higher education. That's very important. So quantum of finance is a huge range available to students. And then comes the margin aspect. Remember, margin is very critical in any loan, any finance you get from the market. Margin is your stake in the business. For to studies in India, up to 4 lakh, it's a 5%, and beyond 4 lakh, it's a 15% margin. Regarding margin, one very important point I would like to make clear, sometimes your project cost is much more than the amount of loan which we are granting. So in such case, definitely your margin is going to be higher. So margin has to be brought in on pro rata basis. So you have to bring your own money before availing the bank loan. That particular point has to be kept in mind in case of margin. Another important aspect that come to play in loan is the security. Education loan up to 7,50,000, no security, friends. Up to 7,50,000, banks are not stipulating any security, because up to 7,50,000, your loans are covered under central government fund schemes for education loan. We are getting that guarantee of that central government scheme for education loan. So no security, only your assignment of future earning and interest that will be assigned to the bank. Above 7,50,000, yes, then the question of security will arise. We call it a collateral security. It may be in the nature of land, building, house, flat, immovable property, or we are also accepting valuable securities in the form of fixed deposits or LICs or mutual funds or shares or debentures. But whenever we are accepting your valuable securities, the point to be noted is that we are keeping certain margins on that. It may be 50%, it may be 40%, that type of kind of margin we are stipulating whenever we are accepting valuable securities. But by and large, your collateral security value should be 100% of the loan amount we are granting. If you are granting loan of 1 crore rupees education loan, the value of your collateral security should not be less than 1 crore. That's the point to be noted regarding security. Then, as I said, top-up loan facilities are available. What happens is that your cost of project may go up for any unknown reason, and it's quite natural. We are living in a very dynamic age now, ever-changing world we are living, so cost may go up. So banks offers a top-up loan facility also, particularly when you are going abroad for studies. Your rupee depreciation creates a lot of issues, and that enhances your loan. It affects your loan limit. So in such case also we are considering this top-up loan facility. Friends, then it comes to repayment part. It's very critical part of any loan. How are you going to repay the loan? Normally, repayment period goes from 5 years to 15 years. Up to 15 years also, banks are considering repayment period. And important thing in repayment period is that as long as you are getting education, your entire duration of course, bank will not be collecting EMI from you. No repayment. We are granting a repayment holiday. We call it a repayment holiday or a moratorium. During that period, bank is not collecting repayment from you. So this is a important thing to be noted. And finally, a very important factor is the rate of interest. Education loan, normally banks are granting right from 8.5% to 11-12%, depending on the banks, because the rate of interest to be charged to the borrower depends on the cost of funds bank is incurring. So the interest rate varies as it depends on the bank you are approaching. So it is all up to you to get the best rate from the market. Of course, you will be getting a very competitive rate. I am very sure about that. You have to be ready for processing fees also, processing charges also, sometimes documentation charges also. That again depends from bank to bank. I think up to 4 lakh rupees, there are no processing fees. But beyond 4 lakh, banks are collecting processing fees. And particularly when the studies abroad case, banks are collecting fees and keeping in the deposits, refundable deposit. And if you are getting admission into that and you are availing loan, bank is refunding back the processing fees also. So these are the points to be noted from the processing fees point of view. Friends, availing education loan gives you a tax benefit also. Under Section 80E of Income Tax Act, whatever deduction, whatever interest banks are charging, that amount will be eligible for deduction for income tax calculation. So availing education loan is a very good tax saving. It may be a tax saving device also. Another benefit of education loan, I will say that it instills a financial discipline in the minds of students who are young. And that's very critical because students, they know that how difficult and it is for their parents to arrange funds and pay interest on that. So many times we have seen that students and your grown-up young children, they are repaying back the loans. Normally, it's the responsibility of the parents to fund and to bear the cost of education. But as the cost has gone up so high, it's very common that children are paying because, particularly in case of foreign studies or even from an Indian universities or the kind of course they pursue, they get a very good offer, very good compensation. So here again, children and students are becoming very, I must say, very financially prudent. So this particular loan instills a financial discipline in the students from the young age. That's another very good advantage of education loan. Friends, I will suggest the parents, they should not balk at the idea of availing education loan. I think if they are confident of their children or their students, and they believe that the children or students have the ability and the capacity, and they are talented, and only thing that come in the way of their growth is money or funds, I think they should not shy away from approaching any bank for education loan. Of course, education loan is not the only source of getting funds. I will say one thing here. There are scholarships available. There are various private scholarship, government scholarship, university scholarships. Such type of facilities are also available. And student and parents should explore all these avenues. Absolutely not. Absolutely, it is a must. And if they feel that they are short of funds, they must approach banks for education loan. Banks are ready for that. Friends, we have seen World War I, we have seen World War II. Way back, World War I now is 100-year-old. World War II is also now almost 80-year-olds. And now the kind of war we are witnessing, they call it a World War III. And the interesting fact about this war is that there are no man or machine involved in that. In fact, we are fighting against virus. And we know that the world has changed since the outbreak of this pandemic all over the world. And the post-COVID-19 world, it is going to be a very different world. And what is going to keep you moving, what is going to keep you sustained in days and years to come will be your education. And this is where This is where your education, your qualification, your skill, your talent, your knowledge will be the guiding force, will be the change agent for anything. So I feel that in this particular scenario, your skill, your talent, and your knowledge will be the most important thing. And for giving opportunity to explore yourself, I think you have to go for a higher education and equip yourselves with the requisite knowledge and the attitude to face a new world that is going to be a post-COVID-19 world. Friends, good luck to all of you. All the best to all of you. In fact, education is so important. Education is so critical because this is going to shape not only your personality, but with education, you are going to shape the world itself in a different way, in a very positive way. Once again, I thank you all. Once again, I thank our FIZ Robotic Solution for giving me an opportunity to speak on education law. Thank you very much. Once again, all the best to you.